Goodreads came out with their most popular books of 2026 so far list, and I thought it would be fun to look at it. They did a top 12 for 11 different genres, and out of the 132 books, I have read or attempted to read 59 of them. So I have a lot of reviews, a lot of thoughts. Obviously, keep in mind that most popular doesn't necessarily mean best, but I will say that I have enjoyed the majority of the books on this list, especially in the fantasy category. So let's get through it. The first category is contemporary, which is a genre I want to explore more. So if you have any favorites, let me know, because I'm planning on doing a reading vlog, testing some right after. And The Correspondent is definitely on my list. I really want to try it. I've heard great things. But the first one that I have read is The Wedding People. I highly recommend it. It took me by surprise how much I ended up enjoying it. The main character is depressed. She is feeling a midlife crisis. She kind of plans to end it all. And she goes to this really nice hotel that she has been dreaming of going to. And when she gets there, there's been a mistake. There's a wedding happening and she wasn't supposed to be able to get a room, and the bride finds out what's her plan, and obviously she doesn't want it to ruin her day, so they kind of develops some kind of relationship, and it's funny, it's deep, and it's just a little bit of everything. I really enjoyed it. Do recommend it. The second one that I have read is Wild Dark Shore, which I feel like this one divides people a little bit more. The premise was really intriguing. You have this family living on this remote island where there is the largest seed vault in the world, and they're very, very isolated. But one day there is this woman that washes ashore. They don't know why she's there, who she is, and they have some secrets of their own. So it sounds like it's going to be really interesting, but I will say, keep in mind that it's extremely character driven. It's very atmospheric. It's very heavy on the flowery prose. So if that's your thing, you might enjoy this more. I think that's the reason it divided people. Broken Country unfortunately did not work for me, but I blame the blurb because it says that it's a sweeping love story with the pace and twist of a thriller. No. It's very character driven, and if I had known, it probably would have helped. You're following the female character through 3 different timelines. So when she's a teenager, she falls in love with this rich boy, and then, they break apart. And then afterwards, she gets married to this other man. They kind of have some secrets. Their relationship is good, but it requires them to keep the past. And then in the future that there is some kind of trial happening. So someone killed someone. You don't get the detail until like 75% into it, which is when I stopped reading. But I just really don't care for love triangles, and that's definitely more what the story was about. Once again, very character driven, very slow pace, which if you go into it expecting that, I think it will help. I also really want to read My Friends by Frederick Backman. I feel like I have enjoyed his books overall. He's very popular, and I've heard that this is his best, so I feel like it screams summer too. I feel like I need to read that. Remarkably Bright Creatures, unfortunately, was for me a quick DNF. So again, it's very heavy on the prose. You have this unexpected friendship between this woman who cleans the aquarium and this octopus. So if you go into it expecting that, I think it's going to work better for you too. Yesteryear is very high on my TBR. I've been asked about it. I am dying to read it. You're following a trad wife who is like an influencer present time, and then she's sent back in the 1800s, and apparently it's satire. That needs to happen. I really want to read that. The Names is also on my shelves. I thought this was more historical fiction though. It's in the contemporary category though. Anyway, the last one that I did read and highly recommend is The Midnight Library. I feel like everyone has read it. It's a very book club kind of book. You follow this woman who is very depressed. She's also wanting to attempt, and she ends up in between life and death, and she gets to go to this midnight library where she gets to try different versions of her life, kind of seeing what she could have done. Does she have regrets? Kind of seeing different possibility. I personally really enjoyed it for what it was, so I do recommend it if you have yet to read it. I feel like everyone has, but if you haven't, book 2 just came out and it was also really good. The second category is historical fiction, which is also not my main genre, but I've surprisingly read 5. The first one is Wuthering Heights, which I guess they tried to include it somewhere because if the movie came out, it's very popular at the moment. Is the movie worth it? I haven't heard great things, and I feel the need to say the book is not a romance. Because unfortunately, I went into it expecting that. I had been hearing that it's comparable to like Jane Eyre or like Pride and Prejudice. No, it's a very toxic relationship, heavy on the revenge and the obsession, but it's worth reading. The second one is The Nightingale by Christine Anna, which I felt like the last person ever to read this year. And I will say, World War II is not my favorite, but it was on my shelf, and you're following 2 sisters. There's 2 timelines, and you don't know, like, have they survived or not, and they go through a lot. A lot of people would say too much, which valid. And overall, I feel like that's my review. Did the author lay it on too thickly? Yes. Could she have done more research for the French? Oui. Did I cry enough to worry my cat? Absolutely. So I can say whatever I want. I still cried like a baby, so it worked for me. I just, I can't say anything else. The next one that I did read was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I feel like is on so many lists year after year. I did enjoy it. Is the movie still coming out? I feel like we keep hearing about it, but you have this woman who was a old Hollywood star, and she for the first time will tell her life story through her seven husbands, and you hear about the love of her life. So very popular. The Frozen River is on my waiting list at the library. I've been asked multiple times. Again, it's not my main genre, but I do like to read the popular ones and I'm intrigued. I did also read The Great Alone by Kristen Anna, which I didn't enjoy it as much as The Nightingale. I feel like the beginning was really solid and she kind of lost me towards the end, but it's very popular. This one is following this family after Vietnam War. They are living isolated in Alaska. There's some domestic violence happening, and yeah, still worth checking out. James was really good. I really enjoyed it. I need to read more by the author. This one is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn, which I haven't read, to be fair, but this one, it's told through the eyes of Jim, so the enslaved men, and I really thought it was great. The writing was great. It's a fairly short read, so I highly recommend this one. So if there's anything else on this list that you think is worth it, let me know. The next category is mystery thriller, which Goodreads and me do not agree on these ever, so I'm not too surprised to see Frida McFadden everywhere on that list. I unfortunately did try The Housemaid. I hated it. I know a lot of people find her just entertaining, turn off your brain. I just can't suspend my disbelief that badly. I feel like her writing is atrocious, and I read The Housemaid and I feel like I had to suspend my disbelief too much. I really hated that book, so I'm not going to try more of her books. I do plan to give a second shot to Alice Feeney. My husband's wife has been really popular, so I might check that one out. However, I did really enjoy The God of the Woods, which I feel like, again, the marketing on this one, I would say it's not mystery thriller, it's more family drama. Again, if you go into it expecting something slower pace, it might work better for you. This was my third book by the author, so I knew it was coming, but this one is set during the summer and during a summer camp. So years ago, whenever this family owned the summer camp, their son disappeared, murder mystery never was solved, and years later they finally reopen it and their daughter disappears. So did it happen again? What's going on? A lot of like family secrets, little town secrets. So I would highly recommend it if you want something slower paced, character driven, and atmospheric. And then you have The Silent Patient, which everyone seems to have read. How many ratings? About 3.5 million people rated this book. That is insane. And the average rating is 4.16. So keep that in mind when I tell you that I, again, did not care for it. I feel like if you haven't read a ton of mystery thriller, you won't see the twist coming. So I feel like that would help. I also did not really care for the writing and the characters, especially female characters. So this one was not for me, but again, it's extremely popular. So if you see it and you haven't tried it, you don't have to not pick it because I said I didn't like it. I do actually want to try It's Not Her. That one is on my waiting list at the library. But again, if there's anything else that you think I should try, let me know. Another category that isn't my main genre, yet I have read 4 or 5 of them. It is romance. Heated Rivalry. There's like 3 books on there. I have not read it. I have watched the show though. But a lot of Emily Henry, which I have read all 3 of them. So the first one is People We Meet on Vacation, which became a movie, so it makes sense that it's currently very popular. Everyone is reading it before watching the movie. I will say the movie fixed a few issues that I had with the book. So when I read the book, I felt like the characters had no chemistry. They were friends for years, and he has a girlfriend and they travel each year. They have like that one trip, and it was kind of messy, but again, I felt that they had no chemistry in the book. The movie, that was fixed, so it's fine. So it's not my favorite by her, but it's not the worst either. The Night We Met, I actually did enjoy this one. This one just came out. I'm surprised it's on the list. Maybe a lot of people were looking forward to it. This one is another Friends to Lovers, but this one did work for me. I will say extremely messy, probably for too long. But you have these 2 male friends, they're best friends, and they go to this concert and they meet this girl, and then one of them offers her a ride, drives her home, they start seeing each other. It becomes kind of a modern retelling of Cyrano de Bergerac. So like every time he does something good in the relationship, it's because his male friend told him to. So there's kind of this situation, is she really in love with the guy she's seeing, or is it the other one? So messy, but I did enjoy it. Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, our most recent one. Unfortunately, this one did not work for me. I would say it's similar a little bit to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because you have this woman who used to be in the magazines everywhere. She was very famous, she was rich, and she disappeared. And then there are 2 writers that are offered a chance to write her biography, and man and a woman, so, you know, enemies to lovers situation, and she's retelling her life story to them, and there's this relationship. I felt like this one didn't work as well as her other ones. Actually, my two favorites are not on this list, which are Beach Read and Book Lovers, which I guess they're older, so maybe that's why. And then you have Say You'll Remember Me, which is technically book one of the other one, but they're companion novels. You don't necessarily have to read them in order. But this one is a grumpy sunshine kind of romance. So the main female character finds this kitten and she goes to this veterinarian. He's very grumpy and things progress. I like that she balances emotionally mature characters with probably more like family drama happening, so that was good. Funny Story by Emily Henry, I did enjoy. This one is also quite messy. I feel like romances lately. But this one, you have this woman, she's engaged, she moved to a different city to be with her fiance, and then he decides to leave her for his female best friend. The worst. So she is stuck having to find a place to live, so she moves in with the boyfriend of the female best friend and they start fake dating. It was good. The next category is Romantasy, and shockingly, I have read 6. I feel like I'm trying to dip my toe into that genre because it can be really, really fun. But again, I feel like you see the same authors over and over again on these lists. So first you have the whole trilogy for Fourth Wing. I've only read the first one. That was enough for me. It's very readable, but again, you do have to suspend your disbelief a lot. Like, she overhears conversations that are really important twice while she's up a tree, you know? And then you have the whole horny dragon thing. Not really my vibe, but it's popular. And then you have Sarah J. Maas, as always. I feel like she's there everywhere. I did read the first 3 books in that series, which it is what it is. I do want to try Quicksilver though. I'm getting it from the library because I've heard good and bad things and I'm just curious, so I'll get it there. Alchemized, I also succumbed to peer pressure and I read it because it was so popular. Dark Romantasy, not for me, but I did enjoy it. I am planning on reading Shield of Sparrows though. I think I'm gonna do a Romantasy vlog later this month because I'm curious. I just want to see if I can also have fun. Finally, we have fantasy, which out of the top 12, I have read 11, so definitely my category. Top 1, we have The Song of Achilles, to no one's surprise, Madeline Miller. She's fantastic. I would give 5 stars to her grocery list, so not surprised that it's there. Retelling, obviously, mythology, she's really big on that. Achilles' love story with Patroclus. Keep the tissues close. If you like audiobooks, they're great like that also. I believe she's coming out with something soon this year. I can't wait. In the second spot, you have The House in the Cerulean Sea, which is also very popular. Not surprised to see it there. It's a cozy fantasy, found family vibes. You have also a MLM romance in this one too. Number 3, we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Probably my favorite by her. Her writing, this one is fantastic. It's again a very atmospheric, heavy on the prose kind of book. You have this woman who runs away from this marriage that she doesn't want. She makes it into the woods and make a deal with the devil. Unfortunately, she gets tricked and she will live forever. However, nobody can remember her until maybe someone does. I really like that one. It's probably, like I said, my favorite by her. Do recommend it. It's very popular. Obviously, it's on the list. Next, I was so happy to see Ctabus's Bar of Quan. I feel like when it came out, there was so much controversy. People like making this big deal out of it that you need a PhD to understand it, which not true. I literally rented in 2 different vlogs if you want to see it. But I was not happy with the dramatic reviews I was hearing. This is fun. I feel like I've read all of her books and this is her most fun, most like adventure kind of story. You have this female character who is trying to get her PhD at Cambridge and it's really important for her. Unfortunately, she might be the reason that her professor ends up in hell. So of course she has to go and get him. He's the only one that can sign off on her thesis. So she needs him and she is forced to go with her rival. So is there a little bit subplot of like enemies to lovers there? I really liked it. You do not need to read 50 books to read this one. You'll understand it just fine. I thought it was really fun. In 5th position, you have Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This one is a sapphic romance, vampires, different timelines, female rage, female romance. I was dying to read this book. It was okay. I kind of expected more because I had loved the other one so much. It's still worth checking out, but the reviews on this one are a bit more mixed. Tyrannacy, I'm happy to see it here. It's still going strong. It's been out for like 6 years and it's getting more and more love and it deserves it. It's a fairly short book, but it's fantasy, dark academia. I will say it's a little confusing at first because the narrator is confused. They don't know who they are, where they are, what they're doing, and pretty quickly you start piecing things together. But this was beautiful, again, heavy on the prose, but this worked for me. And of course you have Circe by Madeline Miller. For me, it's even better than The Song of Achilles, which seems to be the unpopular opinion. Doesn't matter. Witchy vibes, again, female rage and revenge. Loved it. Then you have book 1 and 2 of the Hierarchy series. So The Will of the Many and The Strength of the Few. Highly recommend this fantasy series. It's getting a lot of hype. I think it deserves it. I have been joking that it's a MLM, a pyramid scheme, the magic system, because you have 8 levels and the ones at the bottom give their strength to the one higher, and it goes like that. So the Hierarchy are kind of Roman inspired, and they are conquering everyone, including the kingdom that the main male character is from. He believes his family is dead and he's trying to survive in hiding, and he ends up having to go to this school to try and solve the murder mystery of this man's brother. So he's like pretending not to be him and then pretending to be another person. It's like a double layer of pretending, and at the school it's very dangerous. He's trying to survive. He makes some good friends. I did really like it. And then book 2 starts exactly where book 1 ends. So I did reread book 1, which I never do. So it tells you how much I enjoyed it, and book 2 continues in that line. It's a little different, but I don't want to spoil anything. It's totally worth checking out. I have not read the Astral Library. It's the only one that I haven't read in that category. Let me know if it's worth it. And then you have Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which to me, time travel is sci-fi, but I always see it in the fantasy category. This one was written to be a play, so keep that in mind. It's like one coffee shop in Japan, and in that one, there's this rumor that you can travel back in time. There are rules. You can only go back in time in that specific coffee place, and you have to come back before the coffee gets cold. So you're following the story of these characters, and I was enjoying it until there's like a trope I really don't like that appeared. I had to Google the author to confirm what I thought, and I can happily spoil it in the comment section if you want. So it's super popular though. It doesn't bother everyone. And then number 12, you have Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, The Final Empire, the first book in the trilogy. I'm shocked that it's still getting so much hype 20 years later. It's totally worth it. When I first started watching and doing booktube videos like 10 years ago, I read it and it blew my mind completely, especially at the end of the 3rd book. Nothing can compare. So highly recommend it if you haven't read it. Sci-fi is the next category, and out of 12, I have read or attempted to read 8 of them. I will say number 1 is not surprising, Project Hail Mary, because the movie just came out, so a lot of people have been checking it out. It is worth it. Main character having to survive in space just using their wit is something that works well. I will say this one, I really like the friendship, and I think the ending was quite strong, so it is worth checking out. In second position, you have Dungeon Crawler Carl. In this one, you're following a man who just got dumped by his girlfriend, and he's still living with her cat whenever the end of the world happens, and he's stuck trying to survive this video game reality TV to entertain aliens. So him and the cat, Princess Donut, which is by far the best character, are trying to survive different things. They have to level up. So it's like RPG style, which I hadn't tried before. So it's very popular. You have the first 3 books of the series that made it into the top 12, which I overall enjoyed it. I had a few descriptions that weren't my favorite, but it's super popular. I who have never known man, I am so happy this book is getting more and more hype. It totally deserves it. In this one, you're following 40 women who are living underground in this cage. They don't know why they are there, what's going on, and you're following the story through the eyes of the youngest one. She doesn't even remember her life prior to this, when one day the cage is left open and they get to escape. And it's not a book about finding answers. I feel like a lot of people miss out on the fact that the author, a good part of her family died in the concentration camp, so that's definitely playing into it. So it's not about having answers, it's about what's left of humanity when you have nothing, and it's just such a good book. It's definitely the kind that will make you just stare at your wall for a couple of hours after you're done with it, but it's beautifully bleak and it's totally worth checking out. Super short too, but impactful. I've also reread that one. Then you have the first 2 books in the Red Rising series, super popular series. I'm personally not going to continue because I didn't really care for the trope of like fridging. However, I did enjoy Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Probably on this list because the TV show came out last year, so a lot of people have been wanting to read it. I do think it's worth reading. It reads like a movie, quite frankly, and it's one that will keep you up at night. Like, you have to finish it, figure out what happens. You're not going to see it coming, and it was great. The Ministry of Time is probably on this list because it won the Goodreads Choice Award in the sci-fi category, which I was not happy with, so I'm biased here. I couldn't finish it. I was really bored, but in this one, you have this time traveling thing happening. They go and get people back in time, and there's a romance, and nothing happens. I couldn't finish it, so it's popular though, so like, you know, it might work for you. The Martian being there is also not surprising since a lot of people probably read Project Hail Mary and tried this one. I personally really love that one. Similarly, someone trying to survive in space with potatoes. And in that category, I am planning on reading Never Let Me Go. I've heard good things, I just have yet to pick it up. In the horror category, I've somehow managed to read 8 books. The first one is Hidden Pictures. You're following this woman who is hired as a nanny to take care of these kids, and he's drawing these weird things, so definitely don't listen to it as an audiobook. You need to see the drawings. And I was enjoying it until the twist at the end, which seems to be in popular opinion since the rating is really high, but it is what it is. Number 2, though, is We Used to Live Here. I love that book. You have these 2 women who are partnered and they just bought this house, and only one of them is at home whenever this family shows up, and they say, hey, as a kid, I used to live here. Can we check it out? And she's a people pleaser, so she says yes. Big mistake. And then things start happening, getting weirder and weirder. I personally really enjoy this one. A lot of people I know found it too scary to finish, so if that's your thing, I personally loved it. And he just came out with another book, which was also really good. Frankenstein, again, not surprising, it's there since the movie came out. It's another classic, so if you want to check it out. And Tender is the Flesh. I am always surprised to see it here. I mean, it's a weird book, so I feel like a lot of people want to check it out. There's been this pandemic that happened, and like people cannot consume animal meat anymore, so it becomes human meat. So it is really weird, but it's short and it's worth checking out if you want to. In 5th position, you have Strange Pictures. I've actually been seeing her covers everywhere. Is it worth checking out? Let me know. Number 6, you have Bunny, which is another weird girl lit fic. In this one, a little dark academia, because the main female character goes to graduate school and she is looking down on these other women that are there because they call each other Bunny, and things get weirder and weirder and weirder until it gets too weird for me, but a lot of people really like it, so worth checking out. Witchcraft for Wayward Girls did work for me. I did enjoy that one. It is set in 1970. So you're following women young girls, really teenagers, that are pregnant and sent to this place in shame, in hiding until they have the baby, and then they can come back home. So it is about that situation, feeling abandoned by their family, the fact that the men that got them pregnant, nothing's happening to them, and you have kind of these horror elements happening that are like real life. And then you have a little bit of fantasy happening also, because there's this woman who comes to this place every 2 weeks to let them borrow books, and they get this book of witchcraft, and then things happen. I did enjoy that one. I'm happy to see A Short Stay in Hell on that list because it's getting more hype and it deserves it. You're following this man who was, a faithful Mormon his whole life. He had, his kids, he was married, he was a good person. And then he wakes up in this room with a few people and this demon in front of him telling him, yeah, you were a good man, you were praying to your God, but it was the wrong God, so you go to hell now. And his version of hell is like this giant library and things happen. It's super short, but it's worth checking out. The concept was really interesting. In 10th position, it's not surprising to see Stephen King's book, The Long Walk, because again, the movie came out last year, so a lot of people wanted to read it. I found it horrifying. It's probably my favorite book by him, because you can see, the characters losing it more and more as they have to keep walking and walking. And I will say the ending is better in the movie. I feel like it's the complaint with all of his books, I feel like. But yeah, it's worth checking out. Let me know if there's anything else on the list that is worth it. I do have a box full of darkness on my waiting list at the library. I've tried other books by the author and I have enjoyed them, although this one seems to have mixed reviews. In the memoir category, I have somehow read 3, which I would have said, again, it's not my category, but I feel like I tried the popular ones. You know how it is. Like, you see the hype and you want to also enjoy them, and I have enjoyed these, so it worked. Number 1 is Strangers. Is that one worth checking out? Let me know. I have read I'm Glad My Mom Died, which is number 2. Obviously, my female character, not a character. The author is narrating the audiobook if you want to check it out. Obviously reveals her very complicated relationship with her mother, and then you kind of get a little bit of gossip of what happened also when she was on a popular TV show. So that one is worth reading. I did really like Educated, which I'm surprised it's on that list because it came out in 2018, but I guess it's still getting some hype. You're hearing about the very abusive childhood of the author, not the character, and how she managed to escape the poverty and get her PhD. So I did enjoy that one. I've heard good things also about Careless People. Is it worth it? Let me know. I have read Crying to H. Marth, and that one was good. Complicated relationship between the author and her mother. Obviously, Korean-American immigrants also playing into it, so very popular. In the nonfiction category, I have read half of them. The first one is Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. So this one was great. I listened to it as an audiobook, which was also good. 6 hours though, so it's quite short. The author uses it to advocate for medication for tuberculosis to be more accessible all over the world. So it does do its job. job. I just expected it to go a little deeper because the author mentions that he's obsessed with tuberculosis, and the book is a little surface level, but it makes it a good introduction into the topic, very good for book clubs also. So you get a little bit about the history of tuberculosis, a little bit of how it affected his own family, also how it affected this specific person, Henry, and how people saw the disease over time changing, the views changed, and how difficult it is to get medication all over the world. So it does achieve its goal. I just wish we had a bit more because it was so interesting. I did read Atomic Habits. It's such a popular book. Funnily enough, the first time I enjoyed it, the second time not so much. I don't know if Spotify has a different version or what, but maybe it's the kind of book that you enjoy whenever you're in the right spot. So if you want to get better at implementing new habits, I do feel like the author simplifies a lot on the topic and just makes it small bite size of information. So it's very accessible. One Day Everyone Will Always Have Been Against This is 100% worth reading. It's fantastic. Mix of memoir and kind of information about the topic. It needs to be read. Pick it up. Men's Search for Meaning is kind of old, but it's still getting some hype. It's definitely interesting. The author survived the concentration camps and kind of talks about what he believes made the difference between the people that made it and didn't make it. Obviously, it's a very difficult topic, but it's handled well, and it was interesting to kind of see his theory. I do have The Psychology of Money on my shelf. Is it worth reading? I feel like sometimes the popular books with like financial advices can be hit and miss. The Art Thief, I'm always surprised to see it on this list because I read it and personally could not focus on the right things. The book is kind of a bit historical. You're having this story of this man who was one of the most prolific, I think, art thief in the world. And I could not stop focusing on the fact that he was doing all of these things because his father didn't like him and he was living off his girlfriend and mother. But he thought of himself as so much better than the other thieves. And anyway, I was focusing on the wrong thing the whole time, but you might enjoy it. It's popular, clearly. And finally, for the history and biography category, I have read two. The first one being Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, which was everywhere. That was years ago, though, so I don't know how we'd feel about it nowadays. And The Radium Girls, which you need to read that one. It is so, so good. It's a mix of like history, yes, but also workers' right, because these women used to paint with radium paint, watches and clocks, and they would put them in their mouth to get them very pointy to do the numbers. And obviously, now we know radioactive, so you have the consequences of that on your body and how the companies try to hide this away, and it's very complicated, kind of traumatizing, but 100% worth reading. It was really, really good. And the author also have another book that is really worth checking out also. So I'm looking forward for her to write anything else, but yes, super good. And in that category, I do want to read Empire of Pain. The only reason I haven't yet, it's because the audiobook is like 18 hours and I just haven't had the time yet. So as you can see, a very interesting list. I feel like, again, most popular doesn't necessarily mean the best books, but this year I feel like it's pretty well balanced. I've enjoyed the majority of the ones that I have tried. There's quite a few that I do want to try. Again, if you have read any of these and you think I should pick them up this week, let me know. I do have a few in mind, but I'm totally open to pick up your favorite ones. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be putting more on the screen that I recommend you check out, including me torturing myself and reading the books that I currently already have on my shelf. I started the year with 449. We're making some progress. And I also did one testing the best books of all time according to The Guardian. And I will see you there. Bye.